All right, let's talk about a word you hear all the time, API. It's got to be one of the most important, but maybe one of the most confusing acronyms in the whole tech world. So, what is it really?
Sound familiar? Yeah, don't worry, you're not alone. That term gets thrown around constantly. But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're gonna get it. I promise.
And here's the secret. This isn't some crazy, high-tech alien concept. Nope, the core idea is actually something you use every single day. And you probably don't even think twice about it.
Okay, section 1. Let's start with an everyday interface. And to do that, we're going to look at something super simple, something we've all used, a basic radio.
See those knobs and buttons? That's the interface. It's as simple as that. It's the part you touch, the part you use, the volume knob, the dial to find your station. It's how you talk to the radio and tell it what you want.
And this right here is the key idea. You don't need to be an electrical engineer to find your favorite song, right? All the complicated stuff, the circuits, the wires, the whole shebang, it's all hidden away. That's a fancy word for it, abstracted away. All you see are the simple controls that you actually need.
Now, let's take that exact same idea and bring it into the digital world. Think about the play button on your phone's music app. It's literally the same concept. It's part of what we call the user interface, or UI. It's the button you, the user, press to interact with the software. You tap it, music plays. Super simple.
Okay, so a UI is an interface for a human, for us. But what happens when one computer program needs to talk to another computer program? They don't have fingers to press buttons, right?
Well, that is where the API comes in. It's the same idea, just for a different user. A UI is for humans, right? Clicks, taps, screens. An API is for programs. It's all about code, commands, and requests. It's an interface, but for application.
And boom, that gets us to the full name. Application Programming Interface. I like to think of it as a special kind of messenger. A program sends this messenger off with a note, a request. The messenger goes to another program, gets what it needs, and brings back a reply, a response.
Another great way to think about it is as a contract. Seriously. It's a formal agreement between two pieces of software. It says, hey, if you ask me for information in this exact way, I promise I will give you back this exact kind of information. It's predictable, it's reliable, it's a deal.
All right, so where does this get really powerful? It's when these two programs aren't even on the same computer. We're talking about them communicating from clear across the world, over the internet.
And for this, the TV remote is the perfect analogy. Think about it. You're on the couch, you press a button, and a signal magically flies through the air and tells the TV what to do. A web API is the exact same thing for software. Your app on your phone sends a signal across the internet to a huge, powerful server that could be thousands of miles away and gets something back.
And how does this happen? It's a really simple little dance called the request-response cycle. Let's say you open your weather app. Your phone is the client. It sends out a request saying, hey, what's the weather in Boston? That request travels to a server, which gets the message, looks up the weather, and packages it up into a response. Then it sends that package right back to your phone. That's it. Request, response. Simple as that.
Now, to make sure everyone's speaking the same language, a lot of these web APIs follow a very common style, a set of rules called REST. It got so popular, so dominant, that for a long time, if someone said web API, they basically just meant a REST API. It's kind of like how people call all tissues Kleenex or all photocopies a Xerox. It just became the standard way of doing things.
Okay, enough theory. This is all great, but let's see it in action. Let's look at how just a few lines of code can actually do something pretty amazing in the real world.
So we're going to look at a really cool API from a company called Twilio. Their whole thing is letting you send text messages using code. And look, you don't need to be a master programmer. The core instruction is just this. You tell it who the text is to, what number it's from, and the body, what you actually want to say. That's it. We're basically just writing a little note and handing it off to that API messenger we talked about.
And then, poof, just like that, a text message appears on a phone. And here's the magic. We didn't have to know anything about how cell phone towers work or satellites or any of that super complex network stuff. The API took our simple 3-line request and did all the heavy lifting for us. It handled all that complexity behind the scenes.
So you got to understand, this isn't just some neat little party trick. This is huge. This is, and I mean this, fundamentally how the modern internet works. It's all built on this idea.
Right now, there are over 24,000 public APIs out there for developers to use. Think about that. An API for weather, for maps, for making payments, for posting to social media. You name it, there's probably an API for it. They're like digital Lego bricks. Why build a whole credit card processing system from scratch when you can just grab a payment API, snap it into your app, and it just works?
So, let's wrap this up. Why are APIs such a big deal? Well, first, they let different apps share data and features. They save developers a ton of time by not having to reinvent the wheel for everything. You could say they're the glue that holds the modern internet together. They make incredibly complex things happen with just a simple request. They're the invisible engines powering basically every app you use every single day. So there you have it. You're in on the secret now. An API isn't some scary technical beast. It's just a remote control for software. It's a contract. It's a Lego brick. And once you understand that, you start to see the whole digital world in a new way. So the only question I have for you is, now that you know the secret language of the internet, what would you build?